Welcome back to the Global Front. I'm your host, Irada Hasan, and today we're talking about the most dangerous 21 miles on the planet. In our first two episodes, we looked at Russia's soft power and energy as a political lever. But today, we move from the invisible forces of influence to the physical reality of geography. Imagine the global economy is a human body. The internet is the nervous system, but the shipping lanes, they are the arteries. And right now, one of the main arteries, the Strait of Hormuz, is being squeezed. A choke point isn't just a narrow passage, it's a strategic bottleneck. If you control it, you don't just control a piece of water, you control the pulse of every factory in Shanghai, every gas station in Ohio, and every heating unit in Berlin. Today, we're diving into why the Strait of Hormuz is back in the headlines. We'll look at the recent February 2026 smart control exercises by Iran, the devastating US-Israeli strikes that just shook Tehran, and how this chaos is forcing the world to look for alternatives, including a rising role for a country we haven't discussed yet, Azerbaijan. Let's get our bearings. The Strait of Hormuz is a tiny strip of water separating Iran to the north from Oman and the UAE to the south. At its narrowest, it's only about 21 miles wide. But here's the kicker. The actual shipping lanes, the deep water paths, where the massive supertankers travel, are only 2 miles wide in each direction. Why does this matter? Because 20 million barrels of oil pass through those 2 miles every single day. That is roughly 20% of the world's daily consumption. If you use a car, a plastic bottle, or synthetic clothing, there is a 1 in 5 chance the raw materials pass through this specific gate. So let's travel back in history. The chokepoints issue is not a new fear. In the 1980s, during the Iran-Iraq war, we had what was called the tanker war. Both sides realized they couldn't win on the ground, so they started hitting each other's oil ships. As a result, over 400 vessels were attacked. The US had to step in with Operation Earnest Will, reflagging Kuwaiti tankers as American ships to protect them. The lesson from history is simple. When a regional power feels backed into a corner, they don't look for a fair fight. They look for the jugular, and for Iran, that jugular is the strait. Fast forward to right now, late February and early March 2026. The situation has shifted from shadow war to open fire. Just 2 weeks ago, Iran's Revolutionary Guard, the IRGC, launched the smart control exercise. They were not just practicing shooting, they were testing AI-driven drones and autonomous target detection. They were showing the world that they can now monitor every single bolt on every single ship passing their coast. But then, the world shifted. On February 28, 2026, the US and Israel launched a massive coordinated strike against Iranian leadership and military infrastructure. The fallout is the price spike. Oil prices, which were sitting comfortably at 65 to 70 US dollars, jumped instantly. We saw Brent crude hit 82 US dollars a barrel in early Monday trading. What's going on right now is also the insurance nightmare. This is the hidden lever. Even if Iran does not physically block the strait with ships, they can close it through insurance. Because when the risk of a missile strike goes up, insurance premiums for tankers can jump from 0.01% to 1% of the ship's value. If a ship is worth 100 million US dollars, that's $1 million just to sail through 21 miles. Many companies simply stop sailing. Iran knows they cannot win a conventional naval war against the US Fifth Fleet. Instead, they use asymmetric attrition. They use small, fast boats, mines, and drones. It's like a swarm of bees attacking a bear. The bear is stronger, but the bees make the environment unlivable. So, if the world's main artery is being choked, where do we go? Saudi Arabia and the UAE have built pipelines to bypass the strait, but they can only carry about 6 million barrels. That leaves 14 million barrels with nowhere to go. This is where the map of global influence starts to change. So we start looking north. And here is Azerbaijan. You might ask, how does a country in the Caucasus help with a crisis in the Persian Gulf? And the answer is, it's all about the middle corridor and the Zangezur energy corridor. As of 2026, Azerbaijan has positioned itself as the green bridge. While the Strait of Hormuz is under fire, Azerbaijan is finalizing the Caspian Black Sea Europe Green Energy Corridor. They are building a massive 4 gigawatt submarine cable under the Black Sea to feed electricity into Europe. But why does this matter for our story? Geopolitics is about diversifying your risks. The more the Strait of Hormuz looks like a war zone, the more Europe and Asia invest in the middle corridor, the rail and pipe network that goes from Central Asia across the Caspian Sea through Azerbaijan and into Turkey. Azerbaijan is no longer just an oil producer, it's becoming a logistics hub. By providing a stable overland route for goods and energy that completely avoids both Russia to the north and the Strait of Hormuz to the south, Baku has gained incredible leverage. They are the Plan B that is slowly becoming Plan A. We have to talk about who loses the most here. It's not actually the US. The US only gets about 7% of its oil from the strait. The real victims are in Asia. India imports nearly 50% of its oil through Hormuz. China buys over 90% of Iran's oil. Japan and South Korea are almost entirely dependent on this narrow strip of water. So if the strait closes for even 2 weeks, we're looking at a global recession. We aren't just talking about expensive gas. We're talking about the war risk premium, affecting the price of the grain in your bread and the microchips in your phone. When we talk about energy as a lever, as we did in episode 2, the Strait of Hormuz is the physical pivot point of that lever. Geography is destiny, but technology is starting to argue back. The Strait of Hormuz remains the world's most vital choke point, and as of March 2026, it is at its most volatile point in 40 years. Iran is using the threat of the squeeze to bargain for its survival, while the rest of the world is frantically building bypasses through places like Azerbaijan to ensure that one 21-mile stretch of water can never again hold the global economy hostage. Thank you for listening to The Global Front. If you found this insightful, share it with one person who cares about where the world is headed. I'm Irada Hasan, and I'll see you on the next front.